Nobody wanted to believe, I guess, and so nobody believed that the worst could be true. But I just knew that whatever it was wasn't normal and wasn't natural and shouldn't be there. And I shouldn't have to go through pain day and night. When you first get the news that you have breast cancer, your world is turned, like the cliche, upside down. And you don't know what tomorrow will look like, and you don't know if there'll be a next year. My first diagnosis came when I was 21, but my doctors had seen me a year before that and assured me that I was too young for breast cancer. It was on my insistence a year later that they removed the lump because sort of a lump that was just there and didn't bother me had started to bother me. I insisted that they remove it, but what I didn't understand was that it was really a biopsy they were doing. So I came out thinking I was done. Goodbye to that painful little lump. And a week later when I went into, I thought, get stitches out, apparently I was getting biopsy results and they weren't good. Oh, we didn't get everything. It's a tumor and we're gonna go in and we're gonna get the rest of it. I was like, nobody said tumor before. It doesn't sound too good. Does that mean benign or cancer? I figured, well, if it was cancer, they'd say, but they didn't. My surgeon didn't know how to break that news to me. I went into severe shock, and so that I couldn't speak. I could mumble and gargle, but I was not being understood. It was incomprehensible. I was at University of Toronto, second year, studying business, and the news was just so devastating that I had to now go for further surgery. I was pressured to do chemotherapy and radiation, and gratefully I was able to contact women through the Canadian Cancer Society who had been through what I'd been through to find out the pros and cons of chemotherapy, the pros and cons of radiation, and the pros and cons of follow-up medications. I decided to go ahead with radiation and to reject chemotherapy based on my own situation. That's not for everybody. And to follow a more natural path. You know, you have to trust your gut and you have to fall back on your wisdom, everything that you've learned and gained, and you have to seek out people who will support you in your decision. Thus began my journey to find natural solutions for me. I'm gonna find out what's gonna work for me, and it's different for everybody. But it wasn't perfect, and 11 years later, I felt that twinge of pain come back in the same spot. I was breastfeeding my second child, couple years married, 2 children, and as I felt that pain, it was just like, this is a nightmare. This has to be a nightmare. Did that really just happen? And then it happened more often and more regularly. But I didn't want to stop breastfeeding. And that's when you put yourself last, but then you put yourself in danger. I don't think that was the right thing to do, but it felt right at the time. When you're a caregiver and you're giving so much to the people who are depending on you, you don't want to stop and just focus on yourself. But that's the critical junction point where you could be putting yourself at serious risk. And if you do put yourself at serious risk everyone else is going to fall apart that depends on you. And that's why it's important to do your research and to know your full options and to be confident in what you're doing, and don't listen to the naysayers. You need to take care of yourself, take full ownership of yourself, and then you're going to be fine, and you're going to be able to take care of all those you love and those who are depending on you. I didn't know how to break it to my family. They'd been through so much already with me at such a young age. I knew that I'd had the support before, the support of friends who rallied around me, a godmother who rallied around me, hundreds of people, like a network of people thinking and praying for me. And I realized that this was my fate, to go through it again, to keep my chin up and to keep fighting. So I went back to my oncologist, and I had long been discharged. And I told them, I believe I have breast cancer again. And they said, no, 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 no. It's been 11 years and you had radiation. And I said, yes, 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 yes. It's the exact same feeling. Was I crazy, or was I actually feeling my breast cancer was back? So we did a mammogram, which was sort of inconclusive, and then I asked to have a biopsy. And it turned out that my breast cancer was back, and it was the same estrogen dominant, somewhat aggressive, somewhat non-aggressive breast cancer. But it was very local, we figured, based on pathology, and I decided to have another lumpectomy. And then life went back to normal until about a year later, when I felt the pain again. I went back and I told my surgeons, I think I have breast cancer again. And they said, no, 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 no. I said, well, why don't we do the mammogram? We did, and the mammogram said, you're fine, there's nothing there. And yet I felt the pain. And you can't deny pain, and this is when you have to listen to your body. You have to listen to your pain, and you have to act on it. I asked for an MRI and I was declined and told to keep an eye on it for the next 6 months. That was the longest 6 months of my life. It seemed like 60 years. Because every day I felt pain, stabbing pain day and night. It would wake me. I knew there was a tumor, I knew it was growing. But the biggest fear for cancer patients anyway is that it's metastasizing. So that was the hardest part. I was a mother with young kids. And I went back after 6 months, after discussion with my husband. He didn't know I'd been suffering like that for 6 months. I said, honey, I just want a mastectomy. He said, I just want you well. So I told the surgeon, I just want a mastectomy. And she said, okay. And after the long-awaited MRI, I was told I had 2 tumors now. The blessing was that after the mastectomy, the pathology showed that my cancer had not spread. And my surgeon said, you're not going to do chemo, are you? And I said, no, I'm not going to do chemo. My quest to really have therapeutic products began and became fulfilled that year in Camp Rev. Against doctor's orders, I ended up with blessed with 2 more babies. It's been a journey that's still going, and to all those who have survived, you're champions. as my mentor likes to say, you're a champion. And you're world changers. And you're here for a purpose. My girlfriends who have gone home because of breast cancer, their journey's over, but we have to carry the torch, and we who are still here have to give hope and encouragement and let people know there are options. And that if you can just think of your purpose in life, it will give you so much hope. There are so many women out there who need to take the first step to sharing and getting help. I held on to my secret that I had breast cancer for a long time. I held it from friends as long as I could. I held it when I knew it was back and I didn't want people to worry about me. And those were actually the darkest times of my life, when I withheld from people who wanted to know how I was doing, when I withheld the truth. And those lonely, dark times contrast so much with the wonderful, happy, joyful, light times of sharing the good and the bad, the pain and the healing, with close friends, acquaintances, people in my industry, people who are willing to listen to me. And then they open up and share back. And there's nothing more precious than having dialogue with people who are open, honest, and trustworthy. I think it's really critical to build friendships with people who can be honest with you and encourage you, because you will give the signs and the hints of what's going on with you, and you need that listening ear to pick up on it and to encourage you and not discourage you in your gut feeling. You have to go with your gut feeling, but it's really helpful if you have someone to go through it with. And it's so easy to be negative when people are saying, oh, I feel this pain and that pain. You have to take people seriously. So I'm trying to be a better listener and a better encourager of others. And I'm trying to develop more of my friendships and my relationships. And it takes effort, and you have to meet with people, and you have to open up, and you have to share. But they're going to help you get through those times. They've helped me in the past, and it's invaluable, it's priceless. Relationships, community. That's where I want to invest my time.